Okay, I guess I'm on Periscope now. How do I tell if anybody is watching?
There should be numbers on the bottom.
Oh, right.
And you'll see people's
Oh, there's a first viewer after a long time.
yeah, sometimes it takes a minute.
Yeah, I wonder if any of my Periscope friends will remember me. Actually, maybe I'll go in landscape mode. Just feels more intuitive and I don't know. Just as fast as burgers. Somebody already took the name just as fast as burgers? So you had to add a 1 to the end of your name? I'm just curious. I'm just asking. Well, I'm back on Periscope. And I'm hoping that my Periscope friends will see that I'm back and maybe watch the replay. I haven't been on Periscope since, oh my god, what was it, 2015? Something like that. Broadcasting from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Yeah, way up in Edmonton. And I'm trying to shoot in landscape mode. Because I hate it when people shoot in that portrait mode and then you get the two black bars. Get a video and then you get the two black bars on either side. That drives me nuts. It is Sunday and TV is really bad on Sunday. Actually, TV's at its worst on Saturday and Sunday. I find the best TV shows are on the weekdays. Yeah. Oh, it's though if I was shooting in portrait mode, I'd probably be, maybe I should look at the camera, because then if I look at the camera, then it looks like I'm looking at the people watching, right? I mean, that's the best tactic, I think. Oh, it's hard to get viewers on Periscope now, eh?
Yeah, a lot of times people aren't watching. There's all the storm activity right now, Darryl. People are probably watching the news and stuff.
Yeah.
Watching Periscopes.
Yeah, you're probably right. I've got like one viewer.
Yeah. But sometimes they disappear.
This is...
What did you title yours? I'm gonna check. I'm gonna go on Periscope.
Darryl, Learie is back. That's what I titled it. Ask... I can't pronounce that. It's your first day on Periscope. Well, congratulations. Hey, my wife is on Periscope now. Right on.
There's a lot of feedback.
I know, we're gonna get feedback, because,
I'm gonna go sit in the kitchen.
yeah. You're from Montreal, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And, I used to be on Periscope, quite a bit back in 2015, and then, I left Periscope for quite a long time. Turn your volume down, love, and then we'll get less feedback. Go Oilers and go Habs. Yeah, I'm not much of a hockey fan, actually. I make a bad Edmontonian. But my wife gives me a thumbs up. Yeah, we're not hockey fans in this house. Not a football fan either. Actually, I'm a fan of the Olympics. I like seeing world records being made, especially track and field. track and field is actually the most competitive sport in the world when you think about it, because every person has ran in their life, and every person has found out whether they're good at running or not good at running. So to be like the fastest man on the earth is really incredible, because the competition is almost everybody on the planet, unless you're living in the bush or something and no one's aware that you're there or you exist, but that's not likely. There's a lot less feedback now, love. Yeah, my wife is she's in the kitchen. So, yeah, I'm fascinated with world records, so like to I'd like to see just how much faster people can be, especially in track and field, you know. Like the fastest time for the mile right now is like 3:43. So I wonder in 20 years from now if that'll reach 3:42 or 3:40, or how much lower it can possibly go. But it's not likely it's going to drop a few more seconds. If anything, it might drop by a second or two, or it might drop by a tenth of a second or a hundredth of a second. I mean, that's what's bound to happen, especially in track and field on the world level, you know. Yeah, strong winds. Hey, Darryl, what are all the Canucks up to today? Well, this one is going on Periscope for the first time in like 2 years, I think it is. So I'm just hoping that after a few more broadcasts, I'll make some friends, hopefully, and my old friends will see me back on Periscope, and then they'll start watching me again. No, but I love Timmy's. Timmy's is awesome. It's my favorite coffee. Yeah. A triple. I usually get a medium with 1 cream and 3 sugars. I like my coffee sweet, but I also like it strong at the same time. Yeah, actually, double is so popular. It's actually the most popular choice of coffee at Tim Hortons. So much so that the word double was added to the English dictionary. It's an actual verified official English word. Yeah, little fun fact. Pumpkin spice muffins are gross. Yeah, I'm not much for donuts either. The smoke is still here. It's been lingering around, unfortunately, from the fires in BC. But we did have one day here where it was like 32 Celsius, which was pretty cool. I actually had this idea of taking a Instagram photo of myself wearing a winter jacket with in the 32 degree weather. Yeah, that's good. We've got a neighbor next door. She's always wearing like a mask, like those Chinese do in China, you know. I guess they got really bad smog in China, so it's not. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. I think I think everyone's allergic to smoke to one degree or another, but I can imagine that it affects some people more than others. Um, but yeah, it's right now blaring on the TV is Pitch Black with I can't remember that guy's name.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Yeah, Vin Diesel. It's so yeah, me and my wife we like to watch movies together, eh? So we usually go on Shaw on Demand or Netflix and try to pick out the best movies. Actually, you know what Netflix should really have is Netflix should really have a 4 and 5 star category. You know how they have like different categories like action movies and comedy movies and because you watch this category and so forth, they should have like a 5 star rating category, you know? Like why not give a category to like the highest rated movies, you know? So we don't have to like spend all our time. They don't have stars anymore. Well, I know the oh, it's thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs down, eh? That's interesting. So, yeah. Um, and it's surprising too, cause some of the movies that would have done really well, like in the 80s and 90s, I notice aren't rated very highly on Netflix now. So I think Netflix is probably heavily influenced by millennials and Generation Z. I've got a daughter who's a Generation Zer, and she was born in 1997. But yeah, me and my wife, we've watched a lot of bad movies on Netflix. Uh, really bad movies. Oh my god. And the movies with subtitles. Well, yeah, Netflix originals are really good, and Netflix is really good for TV series. That's where Netflix really shines through. What's I gonna say about Netflix? Oh, yeah, yeah. Those movies that are subtitled. I don't know. I'd rather not have to read while I'm watching a movie. Um, Now I know some people don't mind, but it would be like I would actually prefer it if they actually dubbed the movie, you know. Um, but they don't seem to dub movies anymore. I don't know why. Is that the right word, love? Dub? Like when you do voiceovers?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were a freezer? You're freezing up. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, Pan's Labyrinth. Yes, I watched that. That was about World War II, wasn't it? If I remember correctly. Yeah, no, it was about the Spanish War. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was about the Spanish War. I remember it better now. Yeah, yeah. Uh, so, anyways, That was funny that you mentioned they don't have the star rating anymore, because we still see the star rating on Canadian Netflix. So yeah, well, don't be too too jealous of Canadian Netflix. I'm sure there's some regulation that a certain percentage of it has to be Canadian content. So we all know how much Canadian content excels around the world. It's yeah, it's, America makes the best movies. I don't know about that. That's a really subjective statement. I mean, you've got Bollywood, which is like the big thing in India, and India's like a world in its own, like 1 billion people with their own version of Hollywood, and they actually produce more films and movies than America does per year. And I mean, if you go to India, no one is concerned about Hollywood. It's all Bollywood, big time. So I mean, I think I think if we lived in India, our opinions of who makes the best movies would be pretty different. Just like everybody from their country thinks their country is the best country in the world. But, not every country can be the best country in the world. I mean, but it's also a relative statement. I mean, in comparison to what, Oh, okay, Swedish. Yeah, that's a socialist country if I'm not mistaken. Just like Finland, which I happen to be half of. Uh, this Yeah, there is a lot of good and bad. Um, Actually, I was reading something interesting yesterday, and it was about this doctor who won the Nobel Prize. I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Monez. And Monez won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1949 for being the first to use lobotomies to cure mental illnesses. And it was one of one of the worst procedures he could have done, because by severing the prefrontal cortex from the rest of the brain, people basically lost their personalities, their desires, and displayed no emotion. It was like killing their soul, essentially. It's known as one of the most regrettable Nobel Prizes awarded. Construction foreman who had a head injury. Yeah. That reminds me of another video I was watching on YouTube. This Yeah, this man that was studying psychopaths had said something like 6 to 7% of them were had suffered from some type of traumatic brain injury that led to their psychopathy, and then I think something like 1/3 of them, or no, the vast majority of them grew up in very abusive homes with a lot of lack of nurturing. But it usually takes some genetic and environmental influences to create a psychopath. So it's usually the result of certain genes plus a history of abuse and violence in their childhood that leads to such psychopathy, if I remember right. Yeah, I remember reading that too. Yeah. It's not that a high percentage of psychopaths are CEOs, but it is that a high percentage of CEOs are psychopaths. And for the most balloons blown up in 1 hour at 446, and then doing for like 16 one-arm push-ups on a raw egg without breaking the egg. You checked my bio, did you? It's kind of like what I... Yeah, it's like my lifetime achievement, I guess you could say. Although, I don't know. I mean... Gosh, I guess the need for recognition, I guess. I mean, there's definitely well, it's not really a big part of history, you know, it's like a really small part. So, but just a psychological need to be recognized. So I guess, yeah, I am, but, you know, it's, what's in a name? You know, but I've got I've got some friends on Facebook that are just like crazy successful. Like they've got multiple Guinness World Records, and they've been published in like multiple books, and they're like in a number of like museums, you know, this type of thing. So it's like, man, no matter how good you are, there's always someone so much better. Yeah, I'm back. I'm really back. It kind of looks like I'm in heaven right now with all this glow of light. This. Yeah, the weekend's been all right so far. Hopefully, me and my wife will probably watch a movie, I'm sure. I'm just thinking of what I want to do, though. You know, I used to be on Blab. Oh, Doctor Strange. Yes, I remember Doctor Strange. Yes, that's right. He lost the use of his hands, didn't he? He excelled at surgery and then lost the use of his hands, and then had to use his powers to fight evil. That was a bit of a strange movie, but I guess that was sort of the whole point. I don't know. I like actually I like horror movies, and I like morbid movies. Once in a while I'm in the mood for a good comedy, because I just feel like being cheered up, or I just want to laugh at something. But romantic, Annabelle. Yeah, I think I saw Annabelle. Romantic movies, man, I can't do romantic movies. Some romantic movies, maybe, but it really depends on the tone of the movie. If it's too much like a girly movie, then I don't know. It's I'll tell you one thing: no straight man wants to watch Brokeback Mountain. That's just. Oh my God. I actually ended up seeing, yeah, we could, I ended up seeing Magic Mike only because sometimes I like to leave TV on just to keep me company, and it just happened to be playing on the TV, and I never got to changing the channel, so subconsciously I actually ended up watching the whole thing. But, yeah, you know how that happens sometimes, eh? That's how that's how I ended up watching so much of The View. And what's that? Oh my God. Been sucked up into a couple Lifetime movies. By your wife or what? It's not surprising would be the only scopes in Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton's not an all that big of a city, you know? Oh, okay. Background noise, right? Yeah. Oh, Red Deer, that's cool. Actually, I've seen movies on Netflix that are like so bad that I've actually thought to myself, it can't not be that hard to create a movie and get it like published for Netflix, right? I mean, this has to be well within the realm of possibility. This I've actually thought of it, like this would be like one of my sort of uh life goals aside from being part of a TED Talk. I think doing at least one TED Talk in my lifetime would be a really cool achievement. But yeah, most of them are pretty good. Well, quite good actually. But there are some that I don't know. I'm just not crazy about at all. I do watch a number of TED Talks. Yesterday I spent the whole day basically watching SciShow. It's a science show on YouTube there, where they talk about the facts behind things and explain things. Yeah, I think it's called SciShow. Anyways, it goes by pretty quickly. The people there, they speak very quickly, and sometimes they get pretty heavy duty, and if you're not familiar with the topic they're talking about, you can get lost fairly easily. You know, no, sci, as in like the first three letters of science. Yeah, S SCI show. Yeah, yeah, SciShow. Check it out on YouTube if you're into science, and learning about science. I must have watched like 100 episodes yesterday, just one after the other. Everything from honeybees to, oh my god, to poisons to little bit of physics and yeah, I love learning, but I almost wonder how much I'm actually capable of learning. I think sometimes I wonder if well, yeah, I never stop, but I think our brains just get updated. I don't. I don't necessarily believe that our brains have this infinite capacity to learn. I think our brains just get updated in what we realize to be true and what we become more aware of. You know, just as like yeah, I would say that's a fair statement. Because like what was I gonna say? Um, just like science, like if you're learning about science all the time, you're far more prone to remember the new science that you're learning, but chances are you're going to forget the old science that you learned. Like, for example, the science you may have learned in high school or something like that, like doing stoichiometry and chemistry or something like that. But you might learn about black holes or dwarf stars or binary star systems or something like that, Um, so it's yeah, yeah, it's as yeah, I learned yesterday that every time we learn something new, our brains um, make new connections, so they more or less create new neural pathways. So when you're learning on a microscopic level, your brain is actually changing. It's being updated, if you will. So it's like new firmware, I guess. I guess you could say. Yeah, it is pretty cool, and it's got an evolutionary benefit to it, because it seems that to have survived through evolution, we don't need to be aware of everything there is to know. We only need to be aware of what we need to know in the moment or in the present day. The information that we have right now is knowing that is what enables us to survive the next day. We don't need to be aware or remember the information that we learned 10 years ago, so I think that's why we don't have this like infinite capacity to just remember everything that we've learned from the time that we were born, because it becomes irrelevant to our survival. It's, I've been yeah, I like learning about evolution. It's especially human evolution, you know, especially since um, modern humans have been around for like the last 200,000 years, you know. Um, but I can't. But I'm learning now that there may be more mechanisms in evolution aside from survival of the most adaptable. So it may seem that we have more ways to evolve than simply procreating because we have a certain trait that allows us to live longer and procreate. There. Okay, cool. We may actually have mechanisms that are actually able to adapt on their own in helping us to survive. I don't know very much about it. I just started learning about it yesterday. Because I don't know. Some of our adaptations are fairly what's the word for it? Quick. Spiritual one. Well, it's rather than celestial. Yeah, I'm not sure how to process that. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Well, everything is energy, right? Energy is either stored as matter or in movement, pretty much. It's matter and energy. They're one and the same. The same within one kind of thing. But that spiritual evolution, how would you describe that exactly? Like when you say we're coming up for a spiritual evolution, or the next one would be a spiritual evolution, like what would that mean? How would that be a celestial evolution? Okay. I'm even more perplexed. Well, yeah, matter and energy are the same thing. Yeah. E equals mc squared. It's mass times the velocity of light squared. That's kind of makes me wonder how many light bulbs I could light up if I was just like boom, turned into energy. The human mind will return to its original form. Consciousness, eh? Yeah. Consciousness, that's mind-boggling. I don't know how to. There's not much I really know for sure about consciousness. I mean, I know a few things about it. That is to say, we have a personal consciousness, you know, it's a simple awareness that we exist, but we also have an experiential consciousness, and that's the ability to experience a moment within the environment that we're a part of. So there's actually kind of two parts to that consciousness. I personally believe that consciousness has an identifier, because if consciousness is the product of the same thing, well, I have consciousness, but you also have consciousness, but I know my consciousness is mine, because I know I'm me, just like you know you're you. There's no confusion between the two. So I personally believe that each consciousness has some type of identifier that tells that person they're them. And it's a really hard subject to talk about, because there's not very many appropriate pronouns in describing the experience of consciousness. Yeah. I have, yeah, I mean, there's only two great mysteries in the universe. The two greatest mysteries in the universe, the two biggest questions there is. What is consciousness, and how did the universe come to be? Those are the two biggest questions. The two mystifying questions. It really is. So, I mean, there's, as far as we know, I mean, there's theoretical hypothesis to it all, but all solutions are in theory. In theory. Yeah. I mean, the most amazing thing about the universe as we know it is that it somehow came to be from nothing, and on top of that, it developed its own consciousness through us, because we're a part of the universe, you know. So I mean, but and of course there's smaller sub questions, you know, like as why do we have why is the universe so functional? Why is it such a place that is capable of harboring life? You know, why is it so finely tuned in such a way that it can support life and therefore support consciousness in that life? It's really just like mind-blowing stuff. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. mean, I can't, actually, we're created from one star. This is, we're actually in the second generation of stars right now. The very first stars, were mostly made up of the first common elements of the universe being hydrogen and helium, the two most common elements in the universe. Those stars didn't have any heavy elements, and they exploded, and all those elements came together and created new stars like our sun. So we're probably just the byproduct of one exploding star that spewed out its guts in the heavy elements that we're made from. But the first generation stars wouldn't have produced stuff like carbon or any heavier element than that. Hydrogen fuses into helium. But the notion is the same. Yeah. I don't know how I ended up talking about this stuff. I've went from I always seem to do that. I started off talking about how I haven't been on Periscope for a long time, and then ended up talking about Netflix, and then I started talking about the big questions, you know, aside from the philosophical questions. It's weird. Exploratory conversations. Yes, I've had a lot of those. Doesn't make for good YouTube videos though. I'm just, oh man. Sometimes I think I'm the worst at making YouTube videos. I have to like write everything down, and then I use an app that's like a teleprompter, and I read everything as I'm looking at the camera. Yeah, because otherwise I forget what I'm gonna say, and I end up repeating myself, and that's pretty much it, right? I have to use a different set of tools to meet my my needs of a very short-term memory. And, well, yeah, we're all built a little differently. Definitely. I've realized to a very large extent I'm the product of three things: my genetic makeup, my environmental influences, and my nurturing and or lack of nurturing. Whatever is left over, I guess you could call my soul, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's interesting how people evolve and how they evolved so differently, you know, sort of mind-boggling. But I think I'm going to end my scope, but it was nice talking to you, and I'm thankful for the viewers I did have today. That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, take care too.